Short some, Bubba.
Hello, to the playground. Here I have co-host April Williams and myself, and she's
Watch
out
out
on
for this
location
web, yeah.
in nature's real playground. You can't get more real than nature, and that's a real playground for you, folks. So how's it going? How's it going out here with these energies? I know you had a wonderful time because this is my birthday week, so I definitely know that you woo. Yeah, so I know most definitely you all had a great week. These energies have been expanding. That's how I'll put it that way. Very expanding, if we say the least. I was interested today. I had went to a professional development today. And it's interesting. Whatever you kind of need from the universe hasn't finding this way. It's been supplying. Like the other day, I was like, I'm tired, and I was like, you know what? I can't really do another day. If I could, I would really take a day off um, after my birthday. And so then I was like, okay. Uh, and so lo and behold, found out that the CPS had given us the option to work remotely at home. So it was like, oh my God, answer prayer. So you might find yourself doing like really quick manifestations about things that you really, really actually need. And the universe is really finding you being in that, if I'm seeing the card right correctly, the magician mode where you actually are is saying the mirror and the magician. Those two things where you're alchemizing, creating actions, having you to be able to change things, reflecting on some things, and making sure that the reflections that's going on within you is also creating that change on the outside to meet what's going on. So within, so without. Hey, Mimi, 1119 stop. Yeah. So you've been seeing a lot of uh, that going on to really alchemize it, to really align with what's your state of what brings you peace. And so that's what I've been finding. So, like I said, today I got to be able to stay home, which was really great. But I went also to a professional development, and it was interesting. It brought up the statement, which was talking about the LGBTQT. I always get them all mixed up community, and saying that it was interesting of saying the different types of identities that they had, and they had one that was saying it called the is indigenous with those that they believe they have other either their sexuality or whatever they feel like, either their gender that they feel like they relate to, or they feel that they are, and as they call the two spirit, which I found very, and I know probably April already knows about that, the two spirit. And that was another way of how they would name somebody who was either homosexual or gay. And I said, you know what? That gives me an idea about us in the spiritual community, especially as twin flames. We're two spirited. And I'm taking it to the next level, which is, again, we house both energies, but at the same time, we usually find out that one thing we resonate more than the other. And I know really where we're getting pushed to is to understand that different situations bring out different energies, but also, it's like at these times, what do you feel like you're feeling yourself being more related to? They had us do like an exercise at the beginning, which I found was very eye opening. Is like, okay, if you say your gender is she, what are you doing now? And they made us make a list that would make you feel that you are that gender. So if my pronouns are she and her, what am I doing in life that helps me to identify with that gender? So I would like to almost like throw that out to you all. Like, like really take time out to make a list. If you're saying you'd be in a divine feminine, what is it energies are you doing that is making you to feel like you identify as the divine feminine? What things are you making to solidify that? And maybe also to look at, if you feel like you're in your divine masculine energies, what are you doing to really create so within, so without are you doing to identify with the divine master energies? And maybe if just like when I go for my um, therapist, she always said, well, if you look and you see what ones that you kind of weak in, maybe that's the energies that right now you need to be working in or to be actually developing in to kind of help you push through these interesting times that we have now. Because I know in astrology is always that she says, K Moon always says, look to the opposite what you're not utilizing at this time. So if the moon is in Aries or whatever like that, go to its opposing, which will be Libra, to help you to push and get through that what's going on. So again, kind of look and see. I thought that was interesting. Hey, hey, hey. um to look and see what is it the energies that you're resonating with now. And so I kind of wanted to kind of like look at that aspect along with the energies too as well, but to see where are we or where are we gauging, where are we feeling like we are as far as our energies. I turn it over to April.
So what's really cool about whatever whatever's happening right now, some people are like, hold on to your hats, and some people are like, I'm feeling in the flow of it, and everyone's just awakening into the space where, okay, let's take a deep breath together and realize, yeah, there's going to be parts of us that need healing. There's also going to be parts of us that needs kind of shifting and sorting out. And, you know, it's going to be up to us to determine if it's our time to move forward or our time to like rest and heal, right? So some people are feeling super motivated to get started. And some people are feeling like I need to keep going within and heal this part because they've been the longer you hold on to the matrix, right? The harder it is when you kind of let go when it's going fast and everyone's clearly like getting off of the old programming and setting into this new earth program, which is like latent in our DNA. And so I feel like a lot of people are really getting into the groove of it, even if it's multi faces to the same coin. It's like the idea of religion and the concept of God and goddess and like all of that. We want to make, so far, a lot of the dogma that we've been shared has been an attempt to personify it and make you this dualistic thing, good and bad. And as you mentioned, with the range spectrum of sexuality, we're now allowing ourselves to explore the range of spirituality.
Mm-hmm.
And with the amount of transitions that we've had recently on Earth and our focus on life, death, living your best life, living free, understanding who's actually oppressing who is actually in power. And then you start to realize where your attention is going is where your power is flowing.
Mm-hmm.
People are starting to pay more attention to themselves because they want to have a better life, because they know that they're meant for something better. It's like our genes are activating. We're going into a new level and a higher state of flow. And so I would hope if you're getting on the bandwagon, you're feeling that flow. You're not feeling that sulk, but there is some sadness about the things you have to let go of. And some people, they're really deep in the superficial, you know? And so it's a rude awakening for a lot of people. That's why you hear a lot of complaining and stuff in terms of what's happening to, I feel like, the masculine energy. I feel like the feminine energy, the dark feminine energy, and that's not to be mistaken with negative, but the dark feminine energy is rising in a way that's releasing a lot of pain, releasing a lot of suffering. And so it's now making plain and clear you're making choices. You're either making the choice for life and for the benefit of all, or you're making the choice for death and for hurting and for fear. Well, this isn't necessarily a bad thing. Fear isn't necessarily a bad thing too. Like, it's used as a way to, like, oh, survival, right? But there's also the, this is too much. We can actually all be living in a greater state of consciousness, a greater state of technology, a greater state of food security, and all of these things. And now we're starting to take back our power where we can, and
Mm.
then we're realizing, what do we need to do to dismantle um, entities that are in power that aren't actually helping us as human beings. We're starting to, I feel like, erase the lines. Not that race doesn't exist, but that humanity doesn't exist, right? There's a soul, there's a life, there's a being in all of us. And what can we do to make sure that all of us are actually protected from the mother, and the mother is rising too? And I think the dark feminine mother is more like a protective, more like, these are my children, like, step, let's see what's going on. Oh, we're gonna just let everybody see everything, so they can make an actual decision to change this for everybody. And that starts with our little things that we're doing for ourselves, I'm noticing. So the quick manifestation, constant angel numbering, and yes, Mimi, energy flows where attention goes.
Yeah. And that's interesting you saying about the dog, because a couple of times we talked about that last time on the show about this other entity that just kind of jumps out there. You're like, oh, where'd that come from? In the capsule of the day. And I was like, whoa, where is this energy coming from? Um, I know it has been brought to my attention and said we have to also be watchful as to knowing who is and where this energy is through from other places. Because I know that was interesting when I had said that to my mom the other day, and she was telling me I was wanted to get this cake for my birthday from a cake place, and that I usually like it. I wanted that particular cake, and my mom was like, "Well, if you can't get it from there, you can get it from Jewel." And I was like, it's my birthday, which means I don't want you to tell me about what cakes you like. It's the cake I want to go get. And so it just came out, it just shot out my mouth before I know it, before it came out of nowhere. So a lot of us that we're saying about that, oh, you couldn't? Okay, a lot of things, you can't hear me now? I know she went out. Okay, a lot of things in which we are going through right now is it's kind of coming, I guess, like it's bubbling up from somewhere like deep down, and it's kind of like regurgitating out. It's like the truth. Before to getting the cake that I wanted, I told her it just popped on out of my mouth, and I just said that I told her, I said, it's not your birthday, it's mine. And so I was like, okay, where did this come from? So again, it seems like it was some kind of like a protective. It's like something that was coming out of me that just had to really be vocalized. Like it's like again, maybe it's the truth. Again, it's feeling maybe repressed or something like that. And it's like, again, I wanted to make sure that I was being heard. And so I thought that was just a very interesting thing that here lately, and I know we had talked about that before. It's like, did you just say that? Like, oh my God, where's this coming from? These incidents are coming out, and I don't know, like you're saying, it's the dark the dark divine feminine is coming out. That could also make you feel like you're in protective mode, and really coming out to stand in her power or truth, and to be able to embrace it. It's like, okay, well, that was the truth, it's not yours, I don't really want your suggestion about it. However, not to feel like guilty or feel a certain kind of way that I felt afterwards. The truth is the truth, and I think we're getting really pushed into that direction to really be able to stand behind what is our truth. A lot of times, because of society, like April was talking about, we have been finding ourselves leaving cowering down or find ourselves playing things small. And I think we're really getting pushed behind it to really of integrity and really get into that place to say that, hey, this is me. What things I stand for, I stand for. What things I don't, I don't. And I think that's really again, where we are evolving through. I keep on keeping seeing the word diamond a lot. And we talked about that before again. Hey, 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 hey. Um, we keep on going through that diamond. Some of us are being pressured. And that goes back to what April said. Some of us are, you know, going through this little flying colors and just going with the flow. Some of us have those moments where I could go with the flow, and some of us are kind of like, oh my God, the heat is on, the pressure's on. And that's where we kind of at.
Sometimes it's really hard to see that you're the diamond unless you let in the light. So there's a whole point where you're pressing back at pressure, right? You're pressing back at pressure, and then you together create this beautiful matrix that you'll never know until you're like finally like, okay, I'm ready to start letting this in. Let's start letting my presence or my power be shown or my presence be known, and you can second guess yourself, when you're doing the process of unfolding to yourself, when you're doing the process of going into your higher levels of consciousness. Um, and it's funny because there's a point when you really sit back and you admire your work, but you're afraid to admire your work. You're afraid to attach to feeling good about yourself because there has been this whole secondary factor of it of you're only good if you accomplish this, you're only good if you're only amazing if you do X, Y, and Z, and you set these really high unrealistic standards for yourself. But that's because you know what you're capable of. But until you actually see what you're doing and who you've helped and where you've been, it's not until then that you actually start to be able to reflect. And when you do more reflecting, you start to refine better instead of going with the I'm just pressing and the I'm not good enough, or I'm just pressing and it's never going to happen. Like that conversation becomes less and less, and it's more into the refinement of the diamond. I've been seeing a lot of the diamonds too. I've been seeing a lot of the diamond codes. I've been hearing a lot of like how to work into the pressurized system and then work it for your advantage, right? And it's like you're saying you're co creating with the universe to get what you desire. And manifestation is happening faster and faster when you're stepping into that frequency. So I think it feels like there's a lot more discipline or self discipline where people can now more so pick their frequency, choose consistently versus willy nilly. And there's a lot of tools out there that want to help people. And the Kundalini, I mean, I'm hearing it from more than one person, is coming up. And I'm
Mm,
thankful for that because that means there's clearing.
okay.
Sometimes it's abrupt clearing. Sometimes it's like, oh, I thought my shit didn't stink, but turns out it was stinkier than all the rest. I couldn't smell anything over my own shit, you know what I mean?
what,
So,
what's the diamond codes? I never heard that.
oh, it's as far as I've gotten wind, because there's different places, right? We're all unlocking the matrix, right, together by selectively being where we are and doing what we do and getting into our alignment. Ooh, how fun. um, I also discovered this Scorpio South Node. Yes, it's like a death, a clearing, a refinement. That's pretty cool. So, the diamond codes. It's a set of the locks and keys of people in their consciousness to shift so that their crystalline structure, which is still a fluid matrix, right? So I'm like, should I start? Let's begin at the beginning, at the dawn of time. No, I'm just kidding. Um, the human cell is a matrix that's constantly moving and shifting. And as you give it optimum nutrition, as you give it higher consciousness and vibration, and self love, contentment, and you start to not only resonate this, but it starts to reflect and refract and enter into others, right? So we're now crystallizing or recrystallizing out trauma and deep seated generational woundings through each person kind of feeling this ticking releasing of those pressures that no longer bind, but then starting to recrystallize into a new world, right? We're stepping into, we're never going back to, because the numbers, the information, the knowledge, all of it's going so quickly back and forth, as well as our understanding of the esoteric. So once we started getting into nanoparticles and all of these things, they started to realize that things were popping in and out of existence, multidimensional, multi-time. All of these things start to collapse in on themselves. Once you start to acknowledge that things are collapsing in on themselves, you have the ability to realize that in real time, you are choosing what's happening in the next moment, in the moment after that, and the moment after that. And so we're calling in manifestations that we're bringing into our alignment. The diamond effect is a refinement of ourselves in our alignment with the actual matrix and structure that is, to shift us into the highest timeline, because that's what we're all going for, I think, is the highest timeline where everyone has the most kind of benefit, and we project and live in continuous states. So it's like singing in the universe. The whole universe has a tune, has frequency, has resonance, and it's working to, we call that, what is that called? Come on, somebody. What's the name of that? Harmony of the planets, or tuning of the planets. Each one has a frequency you can listen to. So we are shifting out of our old frequency because the expansion, what's happening of the universe, we're also shifting in our elevation, our consciousness for our society to keep going. So this is the golden age, and that golden age influences the refinement of our crystalline structure, making us these multifaceted, like rainbow creatures. And so, like, when you freeze water and you look at it with light, it's different. The same thing happens with the diamond, except we're all these collection of different atoms and minerals and stuff put together. So I think that was a really broad explanation of what the diamond frequency is, but it's all about you getting into your alignment and refinement while cleaning up all that excess, that stuff you don't want to be carrying, which is familial and stuff like that, and societal, and then the stuff you actually are carrying to process for the next generations to unlock themselves. And that's why I think it's so amazing that you, as a teacher, are working with so many young people that actually have a really good understanding of this. It's just whether they're not allowed to talk about it or not. Like, they're all pretty much on frequency, on point. They're just learning, I guess, not the limitations, but the structure, or the certain predictabilities. Like, if you pour this on the ground, it's gonna make a mess and get sticky, and it has the possibility of attracting bugs and da, 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 right. So we're just teaching them the finite parts of that, because everything itself, it feels like, is going into a deep alignment. I know, right? Those sweet little birds on my doorstep.
Yeah, and so that makes a lot of sense because I know with myself, and I know even Sean it, but because we were supposed to do something and connect the swap and do, and he's like, I just got tired all of a sudden. I know I have after I eat. I mean, I just feel tired. And that's probably also because of us. Our bodies are cellular. A lot of things getting ready for new frequency, new holding new codes or whatever that it is like that. There probably many of us. That's one thing. A lot of us is kind of going through that ascension and getting ready and preparing to hold more energy, more light, more whatever downloads, things of that is nature. A couple of us might be one of the things is fatigue. That is also one thing that we might be experiencing now. And yeah, because of I feel a lot of familiar, a lot of unearthing. I think Mimi had stated that too. A lot of anger coming out of, it's like, is this my anger? Is it collective's anger? Is it the twins' anger? Of familiar, of family, even maybe karmic or feeling stuck. And a lot of times, and I was like, okay, you know what? I find myself like, okay, where is this, like, it's like it's almost pinpointed to one. I would say it's of maybe feminine energies, the familiar, of something just really being upset. I would say even the divine masculine, if I'm channeling that energies, is or it male, it would say, is feeling very angry at a female or a feminine figure, feeling as if that person has been one that has held them back or held them down. Is some things in the family thing that has got to be healed about that, and that is coming home. They show them in like a rooster that's coming home to roost. And that might be something that's been generational, something about the feminine or the female being like an oppressor. However, instead of looking at it from that part being oppressed or pressing, again, going back to that diamond effect, understanding that if we can take time out and to look from it in a more positive stance, that that was a reason why that person put so much pressure on you so that you could be able to shine bright. And this has been something that's been generational. You, by maybe watching this or even come to a realization that, hey, you're saying the book has got to stop here. I can no longer keep on, whether you're male or you're housing the divine masculine energies, cannot keep on letting this thing or person or energy to oppress, keep on having a hold on me. And that's something that for some of us is like, not like the last man standing, but I'm seeing chains. That's like one of the things that's being keeping us like that. The attachment card that say codependency or attachment. There's a ball and chain that we've got to loose ourselves from. So that's one of the things that we're talking about as far as there's a female figure that I believe that some of us, if you're watching this, that they're saying that you've got to address that. Um, and that's something that we have to that bring it to me. That's some of the energies that we're dealing with when we talk about familiar.
So, what I've also seen is with the clearing of the information, right? It's like we think that it's, hey, Aquamoon Tarot 777. Hey. Okay, so with the clearing of that information, we start to realize that there is no separation. There are different degrees and we have different experiences. So it's like, we think the article just came out about the plastics, right? And plastics being in human blood, right? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
So, okay. So we're starting to realize that even if we're throwing it in garbage, even if we're putting it someplace, it's actually everywhere anyway. So the same thing is true for what we're doing in terms of emotions, in terms of connectedness, in terms of withholding. If we're withholding from one, or it's not the greatest example. Okay. Um, if we withhold, yeah, I'm still doing the same example. So here it is. We're withholding emotion, right? If we're withholding connection, we're typically not allowing ourselves to fully connect, even though that's into the thing that it is that we want to connect with. It's like whatever you're focused on or avoiding kind of just appears, and that's okay. You know, it's when you acknowledge it and you allow it to shift. But if we allow how plastic, oh, they did like a whole decomposition of a human body, and there was like over a pound of plastic or something, and the average person's the article somewhere. Just type in plastic in people. It'll show up and you'll see a whole thing. Um, we've got microplastics on beaches. We've got hormones in water and aquifers and stuff like that, pharmaceuticals, stuff like that. We're starting to realize that we can't just get away from it. We can't just bury it. We can't just, this is where we are, this is where we live, and this is what we've done to ourselves and our planet. Which means, how do we clean it up? And the only way to really start to clean up is to start within the body and start to think of that those ways that you can start to care for yourself in a sustainable way. You can't hear me?
I
You
can
can't
hear.
hear me?
It does that going in and out. So that
Ah,
keep on doing you.
ah. Oh, is it because it's too loud in the background? Can you hear me?
It does that when I go out.
Oh, you went out. Okay, I thought I went out. I was like, oh, all that talking. Oh, I did. Did you find all the pieces?
You're straight.
Okay, one piece is missing. I think. Okay, so stepping in alignment with the consciousness of our planet and being okay with and accepting that. Oh, was it? I'm still filming. I'm still missing one piece, but I'll fix what I can. So, um, we can't escape our, I guess, bad behavior, or we can't escape uh, the repercussions to our actions. So we might as well face them head on. And as we start to clear our diets and clear our guts, which a majority of people have health issues in those areas, um, we can actually level up. This is heavy. Oh my goodness. I never felt like this kind of transition. Who just stepped in here? Did somebody step in or step off? Honey, where's the last piece? It's not going to stay. You gotta stop that right now. You can't handle that and do a show. Look, you can. We'll talk about it after your show. After your show, my show. My goodness. Here we go. Welcome to the cosmic levels of the universe, the refinement that we are all one. Once you realize we are all one, that everything you're experiencing, others have also and are simultaneously experiencing. So as you step more into pleasure and joy, the rest of existence can also step more into pleasure and joy, as long as you hold your boundaries, which is where that anger, that security, that um, protection levels kick in, right? Because I feel like there's a whole like we got to protect ourselves, our legacies, our next step coming in, and all of us are getting called to our like missions, our places of being, and it feels more concrete. I feel like people feel like they're actually on the other side. Other people feel like they're losing a lot, but nothing is being lost, only things are being gained. Even if those things are hard won lessons. That was weird. Like, did you guys feel that? It felt like somebody just like heaven opened up, walked in, cleared and flushed a whole lot of people. Like, when you just have the veil lifted, like you're a consciousness shift level, and all of us are stepping into that, and so that could lend itself to migraines, tiredness, um, like weird eye pressure kind of thing.
Also, blurriness in sight because that's getting changed and shifted, like out of the blue. That's also a sign of ascension too, when your sight is blurry. I'm picking up also for a couple of us is this understanding. It keeps on shifting in and out. Come on. Of uh, emotional unavailability. Some of us have been battling with that. Some of us are now getting an understanding of why this thing about getting up has been an issue is because again that we have been the ones that's been emotionally unavailable. It's not the other people. We're starting to get to, like you said before, you touched upon that, not really opening up ourselves as much because of maybe past hurts, past pains, those things that have maybe have happened to us too has caused us to shut off. But then also seeing how it's reflected in others. Like, okay, now I can't really be pointing the finger all the time to one person, that those fingers are still pointing back to me, and really understanding what's your part in it that it seems like this exchange of flow and love has not happened and occurred like you want to, rather it's with the twin or people around you or those things. So we're getting those realizations. I feel too, like you said, about this mission. Some of us are now, I thought it was, some of us are now being led that is more crystal clear as to what our purpose or what we should be doing. It's like, oh, now it all comes together. Now I see what they really do. Or you see a problem and you can actually say, hey, I think I know how I can be able to solve that. I see why I'm in the workplace now because of X, Y, and Z. I see how maybe I could be the answer to shifting this. So we are now getting more crystal clear, maybe because of the pressure again, the diamond of being able to our brilliance. Brilliance is mean our the divine, the light, the enlightenment, our wisdom. All of those experiences are helping us to under different facets of life and how life is also being reflected back into us, because it's got the light to the diamond, but it's also about what how it's reflecting and how it's being able to reflect things even in the environment, the light. And so we're now getting pushed now to be more Christian since we get into that golden age. That golden age is about community. It's about coming together. The Aquarian age is definitely when you're talking about sign of Aquarius. It's all about humanitarian, the flow, how you can be able to service and flow, give all and pour that enlightenment to everybody in the community. So the more and more we ascend, the more and more we are seeing how we can be truly at service. Before we're like, okay, I can do this, this, this. Now we're getting down to the meat and potatoes and the real root of it to say, hey, and I can see that even in the circle of the people that I hang out with spiritually. It's like, no, you know what? I'm going to do now the power of the yoni, the yummy yoni. Now I feel that. Or now I really know I want to help them with being with this what I call it, the panda, and how to get people out of making the choice and seeing how those choices are wrong. So I can see now how we're getting more honing in is like, what am I, as Kathy D say, make it clear, make it plain. What in the hell am I here for? And what am I supposed to be doing? And point me on the road, like I said, like he's on down the road, the Wiz. Point me on the golden road that's going to lead me to what's going to either home or to the Wizard of Oz, that somebody's going to actually tell me what the hell I'm supposed to be doing so I can make it back to home. So this is where we are now, is especially when we talk about this mission, where it's getting more finite and say, I see how it can be done. I see how maybe that could, even my twin maybe could help and support, or maybe the world, or either my friends and family, how they could be able to benefit from this change. So really this mission is coming in. That's what, again, back to the title about that, the mission, understanding how we've got to strengthen both of our feminine and our masculine, because with those two energies coming together on board and understanding, and I'm getting pushed in saying about being able to respect your flow, how you it flow into your feminine and how you flow into your masculine. And going back to what I did for the professional development that I had attended, they were just saying about how society. One lady came on there, which I thought was very fascinating. How she was saying society and people are making her feel bad to be the gender that she is. And that's an interesting thing to say, that she say in some ways she's feeling because of now what's happening here currently. She feels bad to be a woman or whatever. And turn that on the spiritual head. How many times has it been that we feel kind of bad sometimes, even on this twin flame journey, where we're more in our masculine, divine masculine energies, and some kind of way we even energy shame ourselves. And so, like, I should be more into my feminine. No, if that's what's showing up right now, especially if you're trying to get into your mission, and it takes the masculine to push and give birth to you to go on to that, then get into that masculine flow. Or if it's the divine feminine, which is again your observing, seeing what's needed that you need to get into. Sometimes it's not for you to be in that go, 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 go. It's time for you to step back and really see, okay, now how can I really be in service? How can I really find my mission in this? I need to go into my uh, feminine energies. Society will push you to go into your master. No, it's about going out there, researching, talking to people, getting into the ground floor of it. And it's like, nah, some within me said it don't feel like I need to be in that energy. I need to pull back and really get into my spirit and listen to my intuition, into my heart, and seeing what does it say I need to do. So I thought that was really interesting how I never would have thought about that. How even maybe being a masculine, they might feel bad being a man right now, being a masculine, not divine masculine. But how we also in our spiritual community or whatever, sometimes we do find ourselves, shaming to be in the masculine energies. We won't do that anymore, not on this channel. But how it is to be in there, and it depends on the situation. So when we talk about mission and that, kind of gauge and see where does it fit. Have you been in the masculine energy so much in your mission that maybe you need to fall back and to look to your divine feminine energies too as well. That's just one.
That is a beautiful, beautiful realization, is the perversion of masculine and feminine. And that's circles back again to the spectrum, right? We have these really dogmatic definitions of masculinity and femininity, and it's all it's all kind of bull. There is a typicalness about it. There is some stuff that's standard about what the feminine and female body contains, but how it receives pleasure, how it communicates, same as the masculine, how it receives pleasure, how it communicates, how its structure is. I mean, one thing is for sure, I think that men are stronger than women, not muscle wise, right? They can do things differently. With less muscle mass, you can do way more for the masculine and the testosterone. And then, for feminine, it carries and nurtures life, right? So if you have any structures in between, and also the protection of those structures, they can come in many different forms. So releasing what we've known and stepping into more of what we want. Like your feminine. Hey, what's up? he's singing. Okay, here, take this. So holding ourselves as women, what does that mean for us? And for me, that means enjoying being in the feminine body. Now, if you happen to have a masculine form, but you enjoy that feminine essence in yourself, you can explore that. There's nothing absolutely wrong with exploring who you are. If you if you're feminine and you do some masculine things, like I have power tools in the back, and I get stuff done. I have an engineering style brain, but I also have a huge intuitive and a huge texture, many facets of what it means to define me as a woman, as a feminine. And it comes to the same things with your spirituality. Maybe you lend more to the Buddhism, but you like the Christ consciousness, or maybe you dabble in earthen structures, like you like um, earth representative deities, or you go into voodoo. And it's not about what you're doing as much as you're being in alignment with yourself and in integrity with yourself, and you're respecting that space for another person, right? And you're also allowing yourself to grow and evolve, just as we allow our children, or this or these plants, or nature itself is constantly evolving, and we're shifting now. But right now, for some reason, it's an uncomfortable shift because a lot of people are holding on to things that aren't working for everybody. Like it doesn't work for everybody if you're negative talking yourself most of the day and you're not getting anything done. It's not doing anyone any favors if you're over sacrificing and giving to people that don't give back to you just so you can try to get some kind of external validation. And that goes back into the self-reflection and self-understanding of who are you and what are you really calling for on this plane. What are you actually co-creating with the universe to manifest? You're human in being what, right? And there's no pressure associated to the what. It can actually just be being. But society, as we know it right now, as of April 8th, 2022, has put a lot of people in a state of arms of what is being, what is wealth, what is abundance, what is the self. Who do I identify as? You have a lot of people that are have one race, but they're a different, or one culture, but they're a different race because of where they were raised and how they came up, and then they, who are, who are they? Are they faking being who they are? No, that's who they are. That's where they came from. That's that's their being. And so we're starting to realize that nothing has a defined space or a defined limitation unless we put that on there. And so expansion, realizing the oneness within also the singularity, right? Because there's only one of you, there's only one of me, but there is also only one of us, right? And how we are flowing with that is based on how much you want to flow and how much you want to disconnect, and that comes back to the harmony, and that comes back to you, right? So call in your soul family, call in the people you can connect with. you know Sometimes I like to get, oh no, I like to get dirty in the mud and plant, or work with aquaponics. Sometimes I like to dress up and put on makeup and like go out and do the whole thing. And other times I just want to sit with my son and read a book or watch the beach. Watch the beach. Just watch the beach. Watch the people. There goes a
You
tree.
can watch
You
the
know?
beach. You can watch the it's got a lot of nice things for you to watch. Water, sand, people. Yeah. Yeah. But like I said, society has a way of pushing us and making us choose. Society is more so of you gotta pick a side. You can't be like both, you know.
And it really like has isolated us from the mother concept, right? Like it took the mother out of the home. Both parents can't be around or with or working with the child, so their development is a certain reflection of the character. The reflection of the character is on the media and what is actually influencing the child. And so that can be problematic when people are searching for an identity and a connection, and they think, oh, this is the identity and connection I have to go with because this is the group speak. This is what they're saying, but it's not actually true. And so I think one of our major things is going to be reclaiming our children, reclaiming who they are, their identity for themselves. And that's why we're giving them choice, but we're also like allowing ourselves, we don't even know what we want, you know? We don't
Right.
know how to
That's
stand up
true.
for ourselves.
You're right. And it brings up another point they talked about in there because they had a lot of golden nuggets. I said, oh, this. And they were talking about where did you learn your sensuality from? And it was interesting. A lot of people we were saying in there were like, I can't even really tell you the source of. You can say maybe looking at your parents and the way they were acting or how they said this sensuality was, but uh, and and the sexuality rather too. About that, how did they get that? But it's most so like he said, from there. Mostly you got it from your friends or society told you. What was your sexuality? How did you express that? How did you do that? And that's the same thing. Like when we're talking about, even we say spirituality of we are, essence wise, or how we express ourselves, our sex, our how whatever it is that innately we want to, how we attraction from each other or intimacy and all those stuff. We have to find, even on the spiritual level, we have to go back and just like really go and redefine that for ourselves, because that's a expression and an energy and a frequency that is not like we got to sell it to anybody else, but it's just like through our acceptance of ourselves, we'll tell others as to what energy or frequency that we are resonating, if you take it to a spiritual level, in ourselves, of who we are as divines. And I think we, because of society and where we've been raised, is more so of a backwards thing where we're looking to be able to sell it to everybody else and then for them to buy in. It's not that, and I've been saying that for years. It's not that, it's that again, is I'm telling you what I'm selling, and if you buy into it or not, that's your thing as well. But it's not for me to buy what you're selling me, and that's what society and the programming that we have is, that we got to refix and reconfigure that, because we're here to be drum majors and for everybody to come along and to either beat to our drum or see, hey, this is a different way of living. Like you said about the children too, as well, like they told us in the meeting, the development is loud is for children to be able to decide which line they want to get in. Do they want to get in the girls' line or do they want to get in the boys' line? That's the same thing with us spiritually. Maybe, hey, I don't want to get in the line at all. How about I stand in the middle and create my own line, which is at that, and to be okay with that and to stand in your power. And I think that's what we've got. Another thing that's showing me like a rocket. That's something of resistance, of ascension, that a lot of us, and I'll even include myself, is scared of, is to pick that road that's been less traveled, and really say, hey, this is me, this is it. And that's a lot of another thing that we've got to now move into, that energies and understanding that that's where spirit wants to push us. But it's so easy for us to stay in with the devil that we know. It's so easy for us to stay in our comfort zone, that for some of us, that's kind of our last man standing too, that's stopping us from having the union or the freedom or becoming the unicorn that we're supposed to have too, as well, in our energies.
I love that you brought up the unicorn, because the unicorn has been one of my companion animals for quite some time. And I've always thought of, well, at first I thought it was somebody else, but now I'm going to acknowledge that it's me this whole time. I've been the unicorn. Have you been the unicorn in everyone else's life too? It's realizing your value, realizing your worth, and realizing your rarity, and how much of a gift you really are. So, you know, this weekend, I'd like you to take with you the opportunity to really self-reflect and find the definition of you, and realize that it keeps changing. Like, you are going to keep changing. You're going to keep expanding. We all are. And we're all doing what we can to get where we need to go. And as long as our priorities are straight, which is our legacy, which is our children, which is our future, just as you're talking about there, sweet Tara. I pray that we get it. I know that we do. I know that we got it. I know that we got
Mhm.
it. It's a matter of okay, kitty. As long as I'm not gonna lick my paws right now. I'm gonna finish the show. I'm gonna do the show some other time. Um, but if he wants to be a cat right now, he can be a cat. If you want to be a cat right now, you can be a cat. If you want to be you and like That's like you divine whoever you are. If you want to be the dark whoever you are, the light whoever you are, just know that you are acting in your best interest in all of our interests. You know, to play, to have fun, to be light with it. We spend so much of our time looking to define and get to some concrete level, but in reality, it's always been shifting. There's never like zero was never a thing. It's just a placeholder. You
Mhm.
are worthy of being your best life right now. It doesn't have to have whatever income level or whatever number of properties or however many written books. None of these things, those are icing on the cake, but you being you is technically enough. Like, I know everybody talks about the whole you can miss your opportunity or you can have this limited um, way of thinking, like sometimes this will go, but then that means that there's something else out there that's better for you or that's just right for you. And so once we start to shift that everything is in abundant space except for what we allow in our heart and our way of being, we'll let ourselves have more. Like I got to this point where it's like, are do you, okay, so it was I was writing this workbook, or I'm writing this workbook, right, for working with trauma, and it was, am I being punished? The question of am I being punished, and the answer from spirit was, do you think you deserve to be punished right now? Because that's what you're choosing to receive.
Mhm.
And so it was, what are those questions? Am I alone? Have I been abandoned? What are those questions, those deep seated questions that have you, can I ever forgive again? Am I supposed to be single or in a relationship? Am I, blah, blah, blah. It's, it's all, is that what you think of yourself right now? Is that what you think you deserve right now? What do you want? What are you cultivating? Let's hope that that includes self love and kindness and patience and observance and that kind of stuff. And once you grow in that light, everything starts to fill in the pieces. All the gaps start to fill in. And you don't feel the heaviness of the, I have to seek, I have to seek, I have to get there. You feel more like I am there. You feel more like it's growing around me. And that's like an ideal state. That's ideal where we want to go with it.
Yeah, you do. And some of us might be even asking ourselves now at this point, like you say, the ideal state of what is it that you actually truly need, and without what everybody else around you really being positively selfish, really thinking about what you need. And because we know that selfishness has gotten a bad rep when you think about it, anytime society doesn't want you to think about self, being self-centered. But that's what it is about, because that's where the anchor and the core and everything else filtrates from that. That was interesting that even when we did the exercise in the class, I built a one of those graphic organizers that have the circle and the wheel and everything else. You talked about yourself, spoke out from there. And I was like, now that's really divine sunshine, where you putting everything that creates and defines you as who you are as a gender, how it just really radiates from that centering from who you are, had my name there, and then everything else. Now that's really truly being divine. Then you're truly sparkling and shining, just like a diamond, from the different facets of who you identify with. Many of us are also, that's another thing that's being channeled to me, might be also thinking about, okay, what is it that I really truly need when it comes to relating and being in a relationship at this time? You might be really seeing and looking to see, okay, is this something that my soul needs to learn? There's some deficit there that maybe, okay, being with this person or whatever, or being in this situation might help me to grow, and I can learn and get me over the hump to a place where I can really be able to distinguish what truly love is in a relationship, whether it's with a person, a place, or a thing. Some of us are really sitting down and kind of coning that to say, hey, do I need another experience to be able to really, like, really polish and shine or finish off me being truly this the brilliance of this diamond. That's another thing that has been coming to me here lately too as well. Like I said, with that, I would just say just make sure that you have sat down really truly and seen, is this something that is not coming from an ego, like I'm gonna do this because I need to, or I deserve this. You can tell when it's a push coming from someplace else, or where it's really from your soul saying, no, we really need to learn this lesson, and maybe we need to go out of scope of things to really be able to gain this, because I need to kind of see another way of this, rather it's a new job, rather it's a new person, rather it is a leaving a house situation, or whatever it is like that. Some of us might be, and this might be, I'm hearing somebody say, this confirmation for me, might be thinking about that. And I'm letting you know that search your heart first. But this might be a confirmation to say, yes, you are truly at this point where your spirit is asking you to go find this extra experience to be able to bring it on home. They're showing me like a person, like a home run, like baseball field, and like it's like this one thing that's going to get you to home plate. So if
If you're feeling like you need to go spread your wings and experiment, do it. Do it.
okay, so yeah,
Time.
if you feel like doing that, don't worry, Terry. It does that every now and then. When I do good, it goes interfere. It's still gonna
But
be
use your discernment. Don't
right.
go off and trampsing and like, I have this pattern, I'm gonna go recreate it. It's more like, I have this new way I know I can attain. I'm gonna be open to receive more information about it. I'm
That
gonna be open to experience this new change. And then just start with something small. Sometimes small things can go very big. Just allowing yourself to say, okay, I'm gonna trust my intuition, even if it says just hop on one foot for no particular reason right now. I'm gonna do it just because. And once you kind of played that game, you're willing to be open enough to kind of look or feel a little silly or a little different. You start to expand in ways that really let you feel different. Especially when you're stepping into new income brackets or into new relationship styles.
right.
It takes a lot of patience from you to not be triggered back into an older style, right? Because that's comfortable. It may not have been good, but it was comfortable. One moment, I'm still filming. Almost
We
paused it.
almost finished. We almost out of here. Give a couple more minutes.
So, just let it be. Let it be good. It's okay. Things can be good. It's okay. Relationships can be great. It's okay. Having money can be safety and security, and you developing more ways of showing your divinity in the world, right? Because ultimately, the universe wants us all to be in Aquarian state, right? So it's setting us up to work for our best interest. And maybe that person that you were trying to go after, or maybe that thing you were trying to do, stop it, wasn't really in your best interests. All right. And so it clears it for you. Now you're thinking, I'm not getting what I want, or I'm being punished, or this is not meant to happen, or blah, blah, blah. But it's absolutely meant to happen. Ole. I've been locked up. Anyway, leave the door alone. It has nothing to do with you. Go into the living room. Why are you wearing shoes in my room anyway? Ole. So go put some shorts on so we can go. Um, so yeah, put some shorts on so we could go. What's the adventure? The universe, it's meant for you. It's for you to have a great time. It's for us to have a wonderful space.
Yes, 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 yes. That is true. I mean, let's get on the lighter weight or the changing of the weather. Get with what's going on. It's getting warmer. And so get yourself prepared for that fun energy. Going into so this is a good topic. I think we jumped on a lot of things to help us to understand about to be okay with the energy and the skin that we're in and the way we're expressing it at this time. I think again we're so hard on ourselves that I'm supposed to be this, I'm supposed to be that. You're supposed to be whatever you're expressing at that time. You're doing the best with the tools and the skills and the abilities and what you know at that time. And so really practice, that forgiveness of yourself. I forgive you. I apologize. I forgive you. I love you and I thank you in whatever order that you want to put it in. But I think we need to really, and even society is doing the best that they can collectively to make sure that we have some type of order. But then again, if we feel like again that what's going on out there in society is not fitting us, it's not making us be in our truest state of who we are as spiritual beings having a human experience, we have to shift that and change that so we can make it better for ourselves, and that's what again, although like I said, Earth is a teachable planet, and it also might be doomed as a might be titled as a rehab, but we're here to change, and if it's a rehab, we're here and we ask to be rebirthed here through our souls to get the lessons right or whatever from patterns that we have from past life experiences. That means okay, let's get it right and let's do it this time the way on our terms and not on the terms of what's been given to us on earth. All right, then. So, what's happening with you, April? What's happening in the community? Plug your stuff because you got a lot of good stuff going on over there. Especially when we talk about gender, I thought that fit right on in, and what's the spiritual energy that you're expressing to help you to get more into your the feminine energies that society doesn't like you too about how you got the power of the yoni. April Williams has a wonderful package and program that's going over there to help you if you're more in your masculine energies to kind of propel you to push you to be able to get into your divine feminine in through the body. So what you got there?
So if you really want like a cool lowdown on what it's like to have been oppressed for thousands, if not hundreds of years, right? Just hundreds, since the last turning, right? And so this is that stage. So you can check out my book. My book is going to give a lot about epigenetics and how masculinity and femininity and toxicity in our not only our environments, but well, all of our environments, from physical, mental, emotional, the campaigns put against us, the toxins in our food and our skincare, everything has been a war on the feminine and controlling Earth, right? And so it's to take back, for women to take back their power, for them to start to understand how the epigenetics works, the power of the womb and creation. I like to use the catalyst of the yoni steam to work both calming the nervous system, but then also curbing and biohacking the epigenetics to start to cultivate and bring in the more desired, peaceful, passionate states that women can get to. So I have a really cool event happening if you're in the Honolulu area on the 16th, which just so happens to be the full moon. Um, we're having a yoni steam and pole dancing class. It's called the Spring Teas, right? Spring Teas and Steam. And so we're opening and blossoming and blooming into our passion. We're going to be seducing ourselves. It's going to be a night of chocolate and roses. And we're going to use the alchemy of the womb and then the movement of the dance and the security of the pole, right? To represent that uh, that energy, because when the woman has the stability, okay, when the feminine has the stability that the masculine provides, right? Because even when we're setting up boundaries, we go into more of a protective, more deemingly masculine type of state,
True.
right? We are able to express and be even freer because we know what our boundaries are, we know where we're safe and we're secure. So this is a really beautiful space that we're going to create for women to actually go into that space of their own passion, their security, that sensuality. I mean, I don't know if you know this, but belly dancing, those types of dances were reserved for women only for women, except for occasional male drummers who weren't even allowed to watch the belly dance because the dance was so seductive and powerful. And women were only able to share that power because it was often just mm, oversimplified by the masculine in that sense, where it went into like a more of a crude a sex thing, when it was more like us gaining our power. When a woman is feeling herself, she can just walk into a room and you can feel that, and she suddenly becomes more attractive. She suddenly becomes more like magnetic, and so we're going to be magnetizing ourselves that evening. We're going to be doing this whole ritual here on Oahu, on the island of Oahu in Honolulu. Okay, so then my other project is a course, actually. And I'm kind of defining how I want to do the course right now. Originally, I wanted it as the Yummy Yoni reprogram, right? Taking 46 days, just like we have 46 chromosomes, to take that time to start to unravel and then rebuild who we are as women and how we define ourselves, how we define um, our past, so that we can clear up any misconceptions, unravel trauma, and start to reclaim who we are now, empowered. Also using the Yoni steam as a base for that. So if you're in a feminine form, or if you know someone, okay, well, right after, just a minute. Okay, so I'm it goes through like the nutrition, about how I was able to get myself off of all the symptoms of having PCOS, which is a feminine issue. So like PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome, fibroids, endometriosis, fertility issues, irregular menstrual cycles, if you had menopause, if you had a hysterectomy, if you've done anything like if you have a female form. Even I'm working on protocol, and I would love if there's LGBTQ that wanted to join this to help me kind of figure out how to deal with the, not deal with, but incorporate the spectrum of sexuality, right? And how that healing can go through with the medicine, with the gentle herbal allies and flowers and things of that nature. So I'm debating on whether just keeping it for women's health, or go ahead and go into the deeper end, which is healing from sexual trauma and abuse and severe trauma patterns where women are detached from their bodies. So if you find yourself, when you're thinking about sex, that you're repulsed from it, or even going into a space where um, you can't be intimate with your partner, you can't stay in your body. So I want to help women embody who've been disembodied through trauma.
I think you need.
So wait, what?
I say stay with that. Go deep. Go top.
Okay, so
That's
then
from the
that
client.
one's going to be called medicated meditation and masturbation. That's like an extension of the Yummy program.
Yeah. Because I know that from the clients I've had. A lot of them. It's been a lot of them. Yeah, they get that.
Well, I'm offering a special for the founders, because the first one I'm going to start it on April 20th.
Okay.
But I'm offering a special for the founding members. You're going to get 50% off of the whole price, and it still comes with a Yoni Steam seat. So you're going to get a Yoni Steam seat with your packaging, and we're going to go
Oh,
through the
oh,
process with this. Yeah, because I want you to have that tool to alchemize, to have that time with yourself to create and carve that special whatever it is you need to develop your connection and sensuality with yourself. And you don't have to be medicated if you don't want to. And I'm talking about that herbal, because somebody said they were in California. I'm talking about the flower, because I have severe PTSD, so I worked a lot with the alchemy of marijuana. So it's going to be there. If people want that access, I could show them how to use it where they're not overusing it. Because I think a lot of people numb out when they use anything. They check out using food, they'll check out
oh
using
yeah,
marijuana,
yeah.
check out
Drinking
using
and
alcohol. And that's not what we're
movies.
doing. We're creating a space for the mind where it's less whole attached to all those stories and all those things that you have been told, or that you tell yourself now to this day. And we're going to loosen that and create a new paradigm for yourself. and you're going to start to keep folding into that, using passion as your alchemy, using pleasure as your ability to really shift your consciousness and your safety in your body until the point where you no longer need the flower. You can just be in your sensuality. You can feel safe and at home in your body.
Now the one that you're talking about that you're doing in Hawaii, are you thinking about doing a Zoom or is that too intimate? I mean, not a YouTube. I'm saying for Zoom like that, and then we could be able to join you distance wise. Have you thought about?
Yes, I'm doing that. Part of that is okay. So the course, you'll have a bunch of modules where you're going to learn a bunch of consciousness things, right?
Okay.
And then we're going to have a weekly like yoni steam, and then I'm
Oh,
thinking about doing a Q&A as part of it, bringing in some specialists like trauma specialists, psychiatrists, psychologists, that kind of stuff.
yes.
um, some other womb alchemy type things, maybe a sound healer for one of them. So we're going to do a Q&A, and then I was also going to do energy work and kind of show people how to shift into their power and use their womb for their own energy work.
Yes.
And so that's basically what I'm doing, is opening the person into using pleasure as their vehicle for healing. So once you do all the deep, heavy shadow work, scrapey stuff, then you get to be more in holding the pleasure and elevated consciousness.
Right.
So,
Okay. Oh, this
so
is
that's going to be the
stuff.
process.
This is powerful stuff. Powerful. Very
I
powerful.
mean, the Yoni steam alone, the Yoni steam seat
Oh,
alone.
that, that alone, baby, the power of that yoni and that steam, it hits back generation. You talk about clearing. You see it, you do it, and then your family members will start like, wait a second. So it does. I mean, I just live in proof of that. I've seen that. Like, okay, I'm clearing, and now you're acting differently. Okay, interesting. Just from the power of the yoni. So you see how that it can be so effective. That well, I'm here. Anything that you all need, I'll be off next week, so I probably will be cranking out stuff next week since I'm out. Anything that you need, any kind of coaching, talking to, or any reading of the cards, or spiritual guidance that you need from me, past life regression sessions, any of those things, I'm here for you. So you can go to divineunisouls.com to be able to get all that info. All right, then. So get us on out of here, April.
Stay blessed. Oh, I'm so happy. I feel really good. Stay
Good.
blessed, stay golden, and remember, you were made for this golden life.
What? I'm sorry. Mimi said, "What's the name of the program?" AN.
Okay, it is. I have not put it on my website yet. Give me
Okay.
a second. Give me 2 to 3 days. I'm figuring out how to do the sales page I want to do and how to set up the structure. I'm still deciding. Okay, you guys here, you can help me vote. Yeah. I was thinking, do I make it its own app? Oh, happy birthday to ya. Happy birthday to ya. Happy birthday to ya. Happy birthday to ya. Happy birthday. Okay, then I'll do my special version. Okay, here we go.
Yay!
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dearest divine sunshine. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you, thank you. I
Mwah.
feel the love. Thank you, thank you. All right then, and as always, stay up.
Oh, the
Oh,
Yummy Yoni
oh, I'm sorry.
program. I'm
Yeah.
calling it the Yummy Yoni reprogram. And this is the So I've been thinking about it. I think there's going to be an ah, and an oh for the
Oh,
Yummy Yoni reprogram. So
I,
they'll be alliterative, right? So
right.
it's medicated, meditation, and masturbation. So it's kind of a blunt title, but it does, you need to get into the self love aspect of it and how
Okay.
to de armor and how to like really concentrate on your own body, right? So that's what it is. MMM. So it's the Yummy Yoni reprogram, the MMM.
Yes, I like that. I like that. I felt that
Mm.
energy went just from what you're saying. That good vibrations too. For that, I love it. I love it. I love it. All right, then. So make sure you travel on over there and get that good stuff that you got there for you.